And we are live. Again, this is the last series in the round of 8. There are only 2 matches to be played on each day, so this is our second series. Let's introduce our players here in game number 7, the game that will decide who moves on to face life in the round of 4. In the southeast position as the Red Terran from Team MVP, it is Keen. And in the northwest position as the blue Zerg player from Team Dignitas, it's JonnyREcco.
And JonnyREcco with an amazing comeback in that last game, and Keen just allowed the beast to grow too strong, and the Broodlords and Infestors, Corruptors were just not touchable. And let's see what Keen's going to bring to the last map here. What is he going to do? Because JonnyREcco, hasn't all-in, hasn't decided to be aggressive in the early stages, will react and go defensive if he sees potential early aggression, or he just plays a straight-up standard game, hoping to aim for the later stages. So when we look at this game, we can already say that, potentially that JonnyREcco already knows what he's going to do, but what is Keen going to do to try to upset that?
Well, I mean, that's, of course, something that JonnyREcco's obviously always thinking about and dealing with. But in a Game 7 versus an opponent like this, to be on sort of the other end where it's like, okay, I kind of have the mental advantage here, been here before, I can power through this, it's just like any other game, that's a great place to be. But JonnyREcco did win the first game here on Ohana. And, it's just something to keep in mind. If he can repeat a performance like he did in game number 1, he's looking at possible victory and moving forward. But with that being said, we also had that really interesting Blue Flame build come out of Keen in the first game on Ohana, and I would be surprised if he did the same thing here again.
Yeah, that actually set him so far behind, not expecting such a clutch defense by JonnyREcco, being able to wall off with 3 queens, then getting the Ro8 warren up in nice and early. Interesting wall off here with a second supply depot here by Keen, but he does go in and scout a very normal style of play, hatchery into spawning pool, and with that supply depot wall off means that he won't get stolen away from a second gas again, if you remember what happened previously,
right?
Which will give him the option to go straight to double gas, to go straight for the factory, straight up to those Cloak Banshees to prevent JonnyREcco from narrowing down his options.
And there's SCV to go to build that low ground CC. Overlord is getting in position right behind that mineral line at the natural. And now the SCV making its way in for the scout. We'll see that the hatchery is about to finish up. And again, we're going to see JonnyREcco go for that gasless build where he queens up at the very beginning. And I'm really going to be keeping an eye on Keen to see what direction he's going to go. The double refinery is down now. He's just continuing to produce the Marines. But once he gets that gas, definitely going to... I'm curious which door he's going to open, Apollo.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. But one thing's for sure is he goes in with that SCV, sees no gas is taken, so he knows his opponent's not all in. He knows his opponent's going for 4-queen build once again. But what is Keen going to do? The Overlord is already making its way down that right flank to set up position to prevent Keen from just doing something that is not seen, of course, by JonnyREcco's masterful Overlord. And there's the factory coming down, which is a pretty standard response. We're always going to see the Rector Hellion expand from this. But what is he going to do with the gas? That's the big question here. He could go for fast tanks in an early third base. That's something that's given him early success in having an early third base saturated. And having that early third base saturated is actually really, really nice to have.
I felt like in the game where he did really ramp up his tank production early on and focused on kind of containing was some of the games where he took the lead earlier in the matchup that allowed him to really face the late game a little bit better against his opponent. But I guess we'll just have to see exactly how it will play out, because there's a lot of places. Remember, this was also the game where he went in to attack the 4th, and the 4th wasn't there because it was on the other side of the map. So that's another thing I'm kind of looking at for out of JonnyREcco, if he's going to choose to go for the 4th, assuming that it goes that long, but it's looking like it will. That's just south of his main, or the one that is going to be a little bit easier for a Keen to attack with. We now have the Hellions starting to make their way out. And that second factory is finishing up with that tech lab. So is he doing exactly the same build?
He is, man, and he's going to pick off that Overlord too, so the Overlord doesn't know what's going on. Excellent play there by Keen, saying, well, he's probably not going to think I'll do the same build twice, and I'm going to prevent the scout. I'll put my factory a little bit south there, just out of vision range from my opponent, and he absolutely nails that. And this time, the 3-queen defense is set up, and a Roach Warren is coming down anyway. JonnyREcco, Spider Sense, tingling, realizing that something must be wrong. Whether, and if you think about it, I mean, it could be Blue Flame or it could be double Factory Hellion, like double reactors. So he's playing very safe, understanding that why the hell would you protect? What are you hiding?
Exactly. And so, I mean, I wonder for that reason, at least he could probably not sacrifice a whole lot to take a defensive position at his front. It's literally like I almost wonder if maybe I loaded the wrong game, but this is actually happening. I mean, very similar where the Hellions arrived to the third here while it's building. The Queens are set up here at the front, and now the Hellions about ready to make their way in, and the Queens stop it almost immediately, and there is nothing that he's going to be able to do in the defenses, especially when these 7 roaches pop out.
Yeah, very interested in how JonnyREcco's actually dealing with this. He's building roaches, you know, blindly per se, but he hasn't really got any anti-air. Imagine if this was Cloak Banshees. He'd be dealing a lot of damage here. So JonnyREcco takes a risk, goes down one avenue compared to another, and gets the benefit through guessing correctly.
And there are a lot more Hellions coming, so I don't know if he's just trying to bait them out here, these roaches out, send them as far away as he can, and then move in. It looks like exactly what he's going to do, is we've got 3 Hellions, but it's not going to be something that JonnyREcco is going to fall for, or will he? He goes in for the front, and there the Blue Flame does hit, but he really just cannot make it through with 1 roach on defense and plenty of energy for transfuses. It would not really work in his favor. So now I have 1 Hellion just kind of working away at the drones in the third, preventing him from actually moving into position. But again, his damage is so minimal, what he's actually been able to do thus far.
And we have Marauder in production. I hope a second one doesn't come, otherwise we'll be seeing like a continued attack with Blue Flame. A lot more Blue Flame Hellions have been made here, DJW. A total of 12 with more being made. He's going over to siege mode, so he is leaving this alone. But he wants to get in. He has to do damage. And he's basically, you just put all your chips in on red, it failed. Now you double up or go home with, you know, a lot of money, or you're going to lose a lot.
And setting the forest on fire, he just wants to see the world burn. Keen goes ahead and gets out of there with his Hellions. He did manage to take out a single roach, but he's got to know that this is no longer going to be a viable situation soon. He goes and rotates around to check for that 4th, but it is not there. Might meet a bunch more roaches, and he does. He's trying to get to the back of the mineral line to do some more damage, and he may try to run it through the front while he's got this distraction, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Is he going to be able to do it? There's no more wall there. Queen going up on top, but all these drones inside the natural are right for the picking.
Oh man, his double or nothing strategy here for Keen is working out okay. He's got 13 drone kills, but he shouldn't have had any so far. And he's even going to squeeze out with 2 Hellions. Oh, he gets a couple more, 15 in total.
Yeah, he's got quite a few. He's actually not done with this run quite yet. But as a lone Hellion, he's going to definitely minimize the amount of DPS he's doing. 18 workers have been killed total. We look at his 58 apiece in terms of workers. But I do like that 2-prong attack. Just caused that distraction going through the front. It seemed to work out. But the question is Keen's follow-up to all of this? Is 1-1's on the way, Armory coming at a good time. A lot of roaches out right now. We're at lair for JonnyREcco getting his macro hatch, and of course the infestation pit is going down. But that 3rd base for Keen, a little slow it seems like. I don't know, what do you think?
It's okay considering what he's invested before. It is slower than it would be usually, but that's because of the amount of money he's spent elsewhere. But I had flashbacks from my time in Las Vegas there with that double or nothing strategy from Keen. Basically, if he had not got any drones there, DJ Wade, this game could have been over. But he managed to get in there. It worked. It paid off. 20 drones were killed throughout that. And now he's in a good position. He has his armory down as well on a good time, so he can go to 2-2. And he's now set up really well with his tanks to protect a 3rd. Things looking fantastic there for Keen to continue through here.
And some Queens spreading creep up at the front. That 3rd base is getting established right now. Apollo, he sends off a ton of SCVs. And we haven't seen a fourth base come out yet for JonnyREcco, which of course is going to be a big difference from the last game. Waiting for his Zergling speed to finish, his pathogen glands, the first infestors are coming out in that hive. And there it is, that fourth base going down. Again, just south of his main, and I love that position because look at this. Again, Keen goes in, he's like, okay, fourth should be going down, but it's not here. They learned from the last game to know it's likely that JonnyREcco actually put it on the other side of the map.
Yeah, two options right now for thinking about what JonnyREcco's doing. It's either the fourth on the left or a very fast hive, which we are seeing a very fast hive considering no Zergling speed. Infest is very late, and both of those conclusions come to one answer from Keen, and it is to attack, and he attacks well there with those tanks. Even Lings, oh, JonnyREcco sending in one army at a time, and he's getting absolutely smashed.
Fungals do come in from the low ground, and that does help a lot. Some Roaches did get a nice flank, and here comes some Lings to try to clean this up, and it is going to happen. He may just want to pick up those tanks and get out of there. He does manage to clean it up, but there's just 2 Marines and the tanks coming. There's a huge reinforcement coming. In fact, he even stims it to get it there as quickly as possible because he knows that there's an opportunity here to possibly push forward and go even further with this one. We see the Spore Crawler trying to get rerouted here, and JonnyREcco in a really, really rough situation, trying to just build as much energy as he can on these infestors, and the tanks moving forward, and this contain seems to be working out thus far for Keen.
Yeah, and he's going to continue to push here, but he's got a lot of time before that hive units are ready. Even though those are decently timed hive, through killing the drones, he knows that he has at least a minute or 2 minutes before anything's out. And he continues to push with tanks in great position. Marines at 1-1. He did forget his +2 armor, but he will have the +2 attack shortly. And JonnyREcco's going to go in again. This is very tense. Everything on the line here to go to the semifinal.
Yeah, and this so far is quite an amazing battle that we're seeing. The third base still remains fairly untouched. Just a lot of units are being thrown away here. I would love to see Keen maybe at least take a few of these units, these Marines, and head over to that western base. Although it's not mining, just getting rid of the possibility. But it looks like he has completely gotten this third base to evacuate. And although Roaches and Infestors are coming in from the back, is he going to go for a counterattack here? Or is he just going to find a new angle of attack? Looks a bit undecisive. Drones going over to that fourth, but a lot of Lings heading down to that third right now.
And the Lings won't be good enough. There's a tank and Marines in the bunker, and they get shut down. And JonnyREcco goes for a counterattack that doesn't work, and the third hatchery goes down. Is MVP Keen going to continue to power through? 3 Ultralists are on the way now. He has to be so careful. Keen smelling victory, advances to the natural, looking for position here. 3 Ultras about to pop. They are the key in defending this to push this back.
They really are, and we've got just this attack is coming in from all locations. There are a bunch of units here south of this position where Keen is attacking from. If he can get a flank in, this might actually work out for him. He does get a few Marines in the back. These tanks are relatively undefended. The Ultras going in along with the Lings as well. It's just going to be up to these Marines at the front. A huge fungal goes down on the Marines at the ramp, and it does look like this is going to be cleaned up completely, but a whole nother set of units is flying in here to try to get the to try to continue the assault.
And he scans and gets rid of a bit of tumors because he knows he's going to die anyway. Takes a few bastard and the Lings down with him as he does, and he pulls down Ultralist 2. Excellent maneuver. Is going to pick up and get out with a few of those units also. One thing that Keen does not know about is that expansion on the left-hand side. Completely clueless, and that's why he continued to go through to the natural. And upon seeing those Ultras, is wondering, where is he getting this money from? And ideally we want to look to find to bring that down, but he is about to try and establish his fourth base, which he's about to do, and things are looking really, really good for Keen with +3 attack on the way and also that +3 armor.
And he is going to try to set up this fourth base. There's a couple of Lings there to try to stop it, reestablishing his third as well, and also some Lings to watch the expansion over on the east side. And, I mean, is he going to go in for an attack here, setting up for that third right now? He knows a lot of the army is there. There's a ton of SCVs as well. The Lings are going to go in, and there's the scan. He's going to go ahead and get out of there. Not pressing his luck for this one, Apollo.
Yeah, that's big risk considering he only has like a couple of bases at the moment. And King will land and go immediately to Planetary Fortress. JonnyREcco doesn't risk it, sits back, plays safer. Keen is sending out a drop on the right-hand side, which I believe has been spotted by JonnyREcco. It definitely passed 2 Lings, but whether he saw it or not, it looks like he did, as he set up 16 Lings on that third base, or new fourth base, I suppose you could say. JonnyREcco, though, is also keeping his army on the left. There's not that much creep on the left here, and Keen's going to slowly push that 4th base.
Keen's got a drop going into that 3rd base right now. There's some Lings there waiting for the drop to actually take place, and there it is. He'll immediately pick up and say, no, thank you. And this army setting up in a good position right now. The Infestor count sitting at about 3. That doesn't seem like a whole lot. Some SCV's going to be sacrificed to find the location, also free up some army. And here we go. The drop has moved into the natural, and nothing is there to defend it. Some Lings are starting to move in, but now we've got the assault coming out from Keen. He's really applying pressure from multiple locations at once.
He's not caught on siege yet. He's looking, he's found that hatchery, and the evacuation is called. Keen does not want to lose these bio units. He has to get back to the tanks. He stims. Where is he going to get back in time? The fungals come down, DG Wheat, and there's no tanks supporting them. And JonnyREcco gets a really, really nice cleanup initially, but look how many units there. Another fungal coming down. Is JonnyREcco going to push this back?
Oh, I don't know. There's some tanks up on the high ground that are still dishing out a lot of damage here for Keen, and I don't think he knew about them. They were just beyond that grass, and he's left with just 3 Ultralisks right now. That base is going to be relatively undefended. He did get his 3rd back up, Apollo, and now he's trying to get that eastern base up. But if this goes down, Keen could take a nice little advantage, although he does have another base up to mine from. JonnyREcco finds himself a little low, and here we see the planetary about ready to go up. And is he going to be able to get it before it goes? And he will be able to knock it down. Nicely done. JonnyREcco gets his revenge for that hatchery going down.
He does indeed, but one key point here is we do not see a greater spire, DG Wheat, and the longer the game goes on, the less important Ultralisks become. They do not even have the plating upgrade, I think. No, they don't have a carapace upgrade from an evolution chamber here, so they are a little bit weaker than they would be usually against these 3-3 Marauders. These tanks with no upgrades, actually, very surprisingly by Keen, focused on tank but not upgrading them, as a very heavy Ultralisk army is now set up and moving to the south.
I'm not sure why, but a 2nd Ultralisk cavern did go down inside the main. We'll think about that one a little bit later, but now we've got what looks like a huge flank coming from the back. A ton of siege tanks going to get surrounded by these Lings. The bio on the outside of this giant force, and I can barely see through all these medevacs that are currently sitting out here. And it looks like, once again, JonnyREcco is going to hold this off.
And without Infestors, he's got nothing to punish the Medivacs. Yeah. They're just getting away every time. And if he brings these Medivacs down, the game ends almost, because he can't heal up this Bioforce consistently over and over and over. And once again, Keen is able to establish a base on the right-hand side. If that base mines without JonnyREcco doing anything about it, this game could very well end in Keen's favor. JonnyREcco needs to start to morph the Great Aspire, but the thing is, he can't afford it, so he has to stay on Ultra Ling, but he has no Infestors. Infestors are so important. He has the gas, he just needs to build them.
He is trying to get that base back up on the east side, Apollo. But again, as you mentioned, this planetary is about ready to finish up. A Link does come in to see what is going on, and this could be bad, as right now, JonnyREcco positioning his units. Looks like he wants to go ahead and try to go for that 4th, but this army sees it, and Keen's going in for the kill. He's going to immediately pull out of there because he knows that this army coming in from the back could end up killing everything, and there the 1 fungal does go down. 2 tanks sieged up in the back. We've got reinforcements coming in from all angles, and JonnyREcco's being pushed back.
Oh, the Ultras have to fight anyway, and he loses all of them. GG, and Keen makes his way through, and oh my